I'm not a believer that it's actually dirty, though. I think he's just doing it out of habit.
Well, I mean, it's a good habit to keep your glasses clean, Valdes.
You see Perfect working on his glasses? I don't see him cleaning his glasses 8 times.
You're trying to say he's nervous, Valdes? I think he might be nervous.
Yes. Which makes a lot of sense. If he wasn't, that would be weird.
This is a pretty dire situation for KT Rolster after giving all the draft resources to the Lucian pick in game 1 to their rookie FenRir and then getting blasted in lane. You know, I think these bans make sense, you know. Maybe I don't want to deal with Diable's Caitlyn push in. You might have to ban Bard as well. In fact, I might have preferred a Bard ban over Caitlyn in general, but we do still have the Rumble situation. The KT are first pick, so they don't have to ban it. They'll ban an Ashe. So taking away these strong pushing lanes, it gives Scout a bit of a smirk. Rumble probably banned in this final spot.
Perhaps. Unless you want to, you know, roll the dice a little bit, which we've seen some teams, aka T1, do. They are going to ban the Rumble.
I wonder if there's any way to play like a Vi comp here for KT and put the attention away from the bottom lane. They'll pick the Jarvan instead. So Vi is available here potentially for Sponge if he wants to play it. Pantheon's still a big threat. Ryze is fearlessly banned. Cassiopeia is gone. So maybe it's just... Okay, it's a Yunara Lulu angle. That's what I was kind of hoping Effort and FenRir were going to play at first. We were talking about that a little bit in game 1. But it is not going to happen because they picked first pick to get Jarvan.
Which is fine, but
there's no Lucian into this anymore.
There's no Ash Seraphine. There's no Corki Nami. There's
Nautilus Misfortune?
Misfortune?
Nautilus Misfortune?
Rich?
Rich played
earlier.
Yeah, no, he's
not in this.
He's already home, Valdes.
Yeah. Sorry, actually, he's probably like doing press interviews and stuff like that.
He might be, actually.
Oh, G-Sun saw that he left. Okay, so we have official confirmation.
So this was pretty obvious. This is like the only Nautilus lane that's left you can play this into. And honestly, it's kind of the only Nautilus lane, generally speaking, in this meta. Third pick here will be for Sponge. He gets the camera shot. Had a great game in game 1.
Zhao.
Probably the leading Palm attention right now in most people's minds after that performance on the Lee Sin. The Xin will come through. And so now we have our bottom 3v3 all locked up. So we're going to ban some safe top laners, you know, especially for those on the KT side of things who don't have counter pick because they picked first pick. Maybe a Gnar.
Yeah, Perfect's a big Jace enjoyer. So definitely a good shot there.
A Twisted Fate ban from Scout. Scout has looked really good on this pick, especially with Lehends rejoining the roster. Kingen making the calls on the top bans. Takes away the Jace first. And we'll see if he's the one who's saying, we're getting counter pick for Scout. I'm going to blind, so I want to be protected. And as the lock comes through, it will be Perfect Zahen. So 2 great Perfect target bans here. Zahen a little bit less common when the Cassante and the Scion are already gone, though. Usually that's what you end up picking the Zahen into because you get the free laning phase. So
we've seen some Zahen into like Renekton. Sure. I think we saw that recently where it was like, we're not sure about this matchup. It ended up being okay. So maybe that's what he wants to go for.
Azir, taken away from Scout, did have a really good performance on it yesterday and has been one of the mids who plays Azir more than anyone else. The Renekton does come through after said Zahen ban, so Scout will get to have counter pick here. But now we're going to find out what BDD wants. I think with this draft, like this is a very HLE draft, to be honest. Like it all lines up. You got the Nautilus Misfortune set up with the Jarvan, the Aurora Burst, and the Gnar to come through for the winning matchup. And the response will be a Viktor here for Scout. And this game is, they trusted FenRir a little bit in game 1 to be like, all right, let's give him the Lucian pick and let's see what happens. They found out what happened, so this time they're like, all right, we're going to put you on the simple, easy mode comp setup here where you're playing the Misfortune, you follow up, the engage, position well.
Yeah.
And, you know, they trust that he should be able to get that done, but the main characters here are going to be the mid-jungle. They're going to be the support setting it up. It's going to be perfect trying to win this top lane. It's a good draft here for KT, but we thought that the draft for KT in Game 1 was definitely playable. It's just the individual play we saw in the bottom lane from FenRir was a little bit off, and they messed up the timings there. Then they got dove by Sponge repeatedly, and it just very quickly became a non-game.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens in this one. Maybe KT could bounce back. I mean, they need to if they want to keep that second place spot. Otherwise, they drop down to third behind T1, who will find themselves at top 2. Crazy.
Yeah. The sign there says, I was waiting just for you, Lehends. There were some signs when he was gone asking, where is Lehends? And, well, he's back. And things have been going decently well, at least so far. As we'll see what happens here as we hop onto the Rift for game number 2 of Nomshim up against KT Rolster. Let's do it. Alrighty, game 2 on the cards. Still a chance of a game number 6 if KT are able to put this game into the win column.
Absolutely.
And I think they've got a better shot this time around. I think MF is definitely a pick where it's like, unless you severely mess up, I don't think there's a lot of lanes you can lose to early on.
Yeah, I mean, especially not a lane like this.
Yeah, like you saw what it was as well.
It's the Nautilus who has the higher burden of execution in this lane. You just follow up on what effort does. They do end up winning the battle over the wave because FenRir was trying to put damage into Diable, which he does again here, but it is shielded. And so won't be able to do anything further back here. Effort waiting for level 2 before he wants to make his move, as we're going to see an aggressive path here from Cuzz into Sponge's jungle. Level 2 not hit, but they get a great trade onto Diable.
Yeah, the power of the Nautilus. Just attack once and land that root. And now we got a dredge line to come on in. Trying to aggressively trade, I would expect for Cuzz to come down. That barrier doesn't get a whole lot of value, as now we flash on in. And they're going to get the flash and barrier out of Diable already. And guess who's bot lane?
Here comes Cuzz.
There's the hook. It's very close to the turret. And it's on to Lehends, the guy who still has flash. So unfortunately, not really what you were looking for. Also, Cuzz is still level 2.
Uh-oh.
And now Sponge is here. No, you can't do that, Grom. Gonna get flashed on and killed. Sponge picks up first blood. And FenRir also has to flash away. Desperately wants that kill, but now they're overstaying. Effort's gonna be... Okay, that was a interesting slurkle. FenRir tries to go back in for the kill. And it is a disaster for KT on the bottom side of the map. Somehow Effort gets away, though, I guess.
I think the game is over, Valdes. So much opportunity wasted in such a greedy call. Like, so many things are wrong here right now. Cuzz is halfway to 3. This is the moment where it goes wrong. Everything that happened before this was great. And then Cuzz is like, well, let's hold our advantage. Just take the advantage you've got. This is such a bizarre season for Cuzz, where he's either like the best jungler in the LCK or he is just flipping a coin. And guess what? It landed on Sponge. He was there. He's going in again.
Yeah, Scout does not have his flash, but unfortunately with a nice stun that does come in, or Scout does have his flash. I was thinking about Lehends. Scout does get away, though, without having to use it. And without much of a hitch either.
At least this is not one of those Cuzz mid-game or mid-lane ganks where he completely sends it and ends up dying. This was a just more safe and more measured play there. But they are unable to get Scout's flash. And Scout has only played the Viktor once this season, to no avail, but again, very strong pick. I don't know if this game right now is looking like it's going to be about him. Like, the misfortune situation in the bottom lane is, BDD is also not enjoying his life right now. Sponge doesn't have flash, though. But the situation in this game for KT is like, okay, the misfortune's 250 gold behind, right? It's going to short up some of that right now in this wave for just a moment, but as it crashes, you'll see that number change again. The deficit in experience was there for Cuzz, right? He's caught up a little bit there with a little bit of the skirmish we had. but he's very far behind as well. And the game state for Nongshim is like, okay, as long as we get through the mid game here, we've got a Yunara Viktor. And it kind of feels like there isn't a mid game for KT anymore because this Yunara is already ahead and the Viktor is scaling. So now you have to figure out how to like continue to put the pressure on, but not like run it down because you no longer have the power you once did, but you need to find leads. So you have to finagle your way back into this game. And we're talking about this 4 minutes in, right? But it is such a tough situation now for KT. And the person you're trying to play through to set up for doing the damage, right? It's simpler we talked about with the comp. Is still a rookie player. You make it a little bit too jumpy or might miss position at any moment in time where you're already in such a tough spot. Now, measured play like this for Cuzz where you just threaten can be good, but this is a 3v3. They are aware of it now, and they'll back away.
Yeah. Cuzz thankfully going to spot him there with the control ward. Taking a long look at the top lane, actually. Perfect. Did just hit level 6 and a bit of pressure onto Kingen, but at the end of the day, he gets the plate.
Yeah, Kingen gets the plate, and Perfect like loses some farm to chase him, but Kingen's just like, well, I have teleports, so I don't really care. Felt like maybe if Perfect had been able to set up a Mega there might have been an angle. He gets it now. We'll push this back. Maybe he gets a plate in return. CS is going to be back in Kingen's favor once this wave hits. Nongshim are going to grab the first dragon of the game, which will be an Infernal this time around. As there is maybe a late contest from Cuzz. Oh no, Perfect.
He's getting pressured a little bit. Here we go. Effort's going to go in. That's a very nice hook on a Lehends. Good setup here from Effort. As now Sponge in a lot of trouble. He's going to go down. 2 kills to KT just like that. As Nongshim maybe just thinking they'd get the Drake for free.
And we need to see exactly how that went down, but I mean, it just simply looked like Cuzz was lurking on the edge there. They have Effort go in. And they end up getting the kill over to specifically FenRir. So he ends up getting a gold lead himself. BD already with the advantage as well after this play. So just really nice setup there. And I don't think this fixes all of the problems for KT by any means, but it's a great step right back in the right direction, especially with the Dragon secure going over as well. And we were watching the top side play, maybe that was going to be the most important part, but I saw on the minimap Cuzz was lurking on the left of the Dragon here. I thought he was just going to go for a steal, but instead they actually wrap around. It's a Hex Flash engage here from Effort. And FenRir gets the kill, and Lehends is just caught completely off guard. Then Sponge here bursts down by BDD, and they cannot get the Dragon in time. So they really just didn't think KT were going to send it there, but with the Hex Flash, was it Hex Flash, right, from Effort?
I'm pretty sure it was. Like, it looked like he was channeling that one up. Now he's looking again. Lehends going to walk that one off, thankfully. I think if he doesn't, he just dies, even with this flash available. So either way, definitely playing with fire. Again, it kind of felt like Nongshim didn't check all the boxes, and they didn't expect a Nautilus to come flying over the wall. You know, they saw with a ward exactly where Cuzz was, exactly where FenRir was, and they were like, oh, we're safe. Okay, we have a little bit of time before they engage. And then all of a sudden, Effort's just right on top of your Lulu, and I think it just kind of caught them off guard.
And, of course, looking at Effort's summoners, he just has his normal flashback now. It threw me off guard for some reason. But, yeah. We did just watch it, and Lehends' back will be temporarily stopped. The fact that BDD gets a lead here is really huge because this comp still needs to be able to win teamfights and burst through targets through this mid-game. And having a 120 gold lead over the Yunara feels nice in isolation, but everything has to work together well in order to actually get this comp off the ground. The fact that they have the first dragon is also really helpful because it means that there's potential for them to actually force fights that are uncomfortable for Nongshim to take, whereas Nongshim would otherwise like to just opt out of a lot of these fights if they don't like the setup. Nongshim felt confident in their setup on that previous dragon, which was kind of an incorrect assumption because of the Hex Flash over the wall. But if they don't like the next one, they can just be like, let's scale. Got Gnar Viktor. Effort is right here.
Yeah, they're baiting Scout into this one big time. As the depth charge comes in, straight into FenRir, who's like, oh, hello. I might just enjoy myself a nice little snack of a kill, as FenRir going to pick that one up. And Nongshim not really showing a lot of respect, definitely going very aggressive, and KT called them on their bluff.
Like, for a second, I thought I was second-guessing myself. Like, when I saw that flash from a Scout, that the Jarvan was, I was like, Jarvan is a KT. Jarvan, like, why is he flashing? It's a pretty bizarre location for Scout to try to run away to. I don't think they expected FenRir to also be heading over to the mid lane, but he was, and so it's a lot of extra damage, but they gifted the kill to him as a result of him heading over there, and now he's got 2 on the board. So KT maintain this gold lead, see if they can turn it into something bigger, as it's still much better for them, much better than it was early on. Boomerang.
Yeah.
That's very funny. We just like walked over there, the camera just like showed it, and doesn't catch it.
Perfect's not having a very fun time up here. As you can see, he's been down like half a level. He's caught up a little bit now, but he's been behind a level a couple times I've seen. Sponge not going to be able to dive here.
Yeah, I see his Cuzz, so we'll just leave. Ooh, hook
that's a really nice hook on a Diable. Going to find him right through the minion wave. And now the flash shot in. One more auto. FenRir sees blood in the water and picks up the kill. Diable doesn't bother to flash, just goes down.
Sometimes I also see blood in the water. I don't know why, like, for some reason when you said that, I just instantly thought of Airbud.
Like, all this talk of dogs and wolves and stuff.
There's nothing in the rule that says an academy player can't emergency sub into this roster. FenRir is going to flash for this. I was surprised he waited so long to do it, but he actually has the speed up here as well. And the heal comes through, so he secures that final auto to take Diable out. And now it's 3 kills to the Misfortune, and I think at this point, I think I can confidently say KT have enough of a lead to where this mid-game should be playable. And I'm surprised by this, but it has worked so well for them. An effort just barely getting that dredge line angle is enough to turn the tides and turn the fate of this game. There is a flash used on FenRir, right? An 80 carry down flash is punishable, but at this point, moving into second dragon, I think they're very happy with the exchange. Kingen does have TP advantage if Nongshim wanted to send him down here, but he does not have control of this lane right now, so kind of feels like Cuzz and crew are looking for double dragon.
Yeah, might be able to set it up. I mean, at least they're going to posture for it. There is a ward that is teleportable behind them. And we are going to see Sponge go in, just pressure them out. No big fights starting just yet. Kingen did not elect to TP yet either. Scout is going to TP in a mid. So now the hook's going to come down once again. They find Diable as the Wild Growth comes in, but he just dies anyway. He gets hit by everything, doesn't flash. And FenRir pretty low. But yeah, it's another big pick as Cuzz also going to go in. BDD is on the chase.
He has his ult. I mean, this is really tough to defend. Once that wave hits, Sponge and Lehends are going to have to do some fancy footwork, or they're just going to leave. Effort doesn't have his ult, so I guess they decide it's not worth trying to force this because there's no way to deny Dragon, and if they fail it, not only will they give over some gold, but they'll waste a lot of time, and then Diable will come back. I like this call. Speaking of time, I mean, TP is in for King, and I mentioned if he wants to contest, he can, and he will.
Yeah, it looks like they've done enough damage to KT just to zone them away from the Dragon.
But Perfect gets the win out of this on the top side. You know, Diable's rushing up here to try to handle this, but there's a Dragon apiece between them, but Perfect is going to get a lot of money and now has the teleport, well, the faster teleport coming back over Kingen.
Okay. Walk right by him. See you later, nerd.
Yeah, I guess so. Excuse me, just trying to time in my roll quest.
Yeah.
This fight here, just another hook from Effort. He lines it up. The Wild Growth is just not going to turn the tide. He gets the triple knockup, but he's already taken the brunt of the damage, so just dies afterwards. We won't speak of what we heard.
Yeah. Some noises there. Just feels like, you know, this is the power of Nautilus. If you don't fall behind, you have kill threat, and you hit some hooks.
Kingen is that kill they're looking for now.
Yeah, depth charge in 5, so kind of waiting for that. Effort's going to tank up the turret for now, and now he's just going to hook away. A little bit of damage, got the flash out of Kingen.
Diable is getting a lot of value here on the top side of the map at the same time. As Perfect is going to head down here, they're going to reset these lanes, it looks like. BDD doesn't have teleport, so kind of awkward, but will ultimately still be a fine situation here for KT, but it would have been, I think it's kind of slightly net negative for them, but if they got the kill, then fine. They will get first brick here, actually, as I guess this wave wasn't as big as I thought for Diable. Thought he was going to get that. Well, just barely not. Maybe if Lehends was hitting it, they might have actually won the race. Either way, KT do make it worth it, despite some lost time there, and they kept Kingen off the turret.
Yeah, pretty interesting spot now. I mean, KT do have this lead, and decent amount of their gold is in FenRir, so I feel like, you know, with him on a relatively easier to play champion in the MF and this lead, I think he'll be able to utilize it a little bit more. Also, with effort hitting all the hooks makes it a bit easier. Went for the big green belt item.
Yes. Protoplasm harness. I usually don't say the full names, but in this case, like, since you said it that way, I feel obliged. As Sponge is in Zhao, so maybe forced to ult here.
He's just gonna flash away, but I think Lehends won't be quite as lucky as Wild Growth himself. But he doesn't have his flash, so he's just gonna die. Cuzz picks that one up. Nice TP behind, and now it should be the Rift Heralds.
The thing about Misfortune comps often is if the Misfortune is ahead, that feels nice, but if the rest of your team is behind, you can't really do anything because you're Misfortune. But if everybody's ahead, it just becomes really easy to be set up for success. And he has ult here, so Diable just cannot even really be near this turret. If Effort hooks him, he's just going to die. Will be a little bit of extra damage done here to Effort, so Effort's not interested in that right now. As we do have Scout also in potentially a lot of danger. Oh, Gravity Field is well placed.
Yeah. Because lands that Cataclysm, probably would have gotten the flash out of Scout, but Scout has Rocket Belt. And that's going to get him out of danger this time around.
So we have a rotating up Sponge. I think Scout wanted to try to bait something there, but Perfect is just going to walk away. I kind of... Like, on one hand, I thought this game was so done early when we had that big skirmish, but I have to give it to KT. They found angles back in this game. They had that great punish, but this is like such an Effort game. Like, he is...
Yeah.
It's been a few of our players, like Effort, Lehends to a lesser extent, but some of our support players have been pulling out his Nautilus, but Effort is so known for his Nautilus, have really made me feel like Nautilus is actually broken. Like, we shouldn't just always be playing range supports. I mean, obviously Nautilus Misfortune is one of the simpler ones, but we've seen it in other comps too, where that engage is so important when you have it, and it almost throws teams off guard because they're so used to the Karmas, the Seraphines, the Lulus, where there isn't a Nautilus hex flashing over the wall. Yeah,
the Namis.
Emilio is not going to hex flash over the wall and lock down your AD carry, you know what I mean? So it's kind of this X factor to it when you're this good at it, like Effort is. It warps the entire game.
Yeah.
He's brought them back into it.
It really has. I mean, that's kind of the way you have to play the Nautilus, as we're even going to get a high-value charge into the Tier 2 and mid. KT really doing a good job of trying to further their lead. You know, sometimes we even saw like Team DRX take quite a while to win against T1 in game number 2 earlier on today, but KT are like, no, we got to hit like all these timings. We got to make sure we're pushing mid right as the Drake is about to spawn.
Ranking Kingen here. I don't know if it'll mean anything, but
I think it's a little too late. And yeah, can just ult Diable as well. They're just going to throw everything into Lehends. Might as well. No Wild Growth usage from him. As Perfect's getting pretty low, though, as everybody's kind of in the AoE of the Renekton and the Viktor. As in goes Cuzz, looking for the kill on a Sponge. At least we'll be able to help trade one out. Perfect on the run here. Diable as well on the chase as the slow comes through. As he's got a barrier, but the Slurkle is just a little bit too good, I think, as they're going to throw everything into him and eventually take him down. Meanwhile, down on the bottom side of the map, Perfect thought he was safe, and he was not. BDD might be able to punish at least.
He doesn't have an ult, but I think he has the damage. Okay, this is starting to get a little silly.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I kind of feel like, is it just me? I think it was really close, but I kind of feel like FenRir could have almost escaped there, but he kind of just was like, oh, I can't get out, and he turned around, and then he died for sure. As the Dragon is secured by KT, so much is spent onto Lehends, which I don't think does them any favors when this flanking Renekton absolutely gets value. We weren't sure. We were like, maybe it's a little bit too slow, a little bit too late. FenRir's able to flash over the wall here. They take out Sponge. But then here, Diable uses the trinket so they can make sure he can line up this slow. And FenRir stops walking. And I kind of feel like if he went up there, maybe Diable still gets him there, but it felt like a little bit strange to just somewhat give up there. Maybe he re-angles the Death Ray if he keeps walking. Either way.
That's what I was expecting.
It looked funny for him to just kind of concede the point.
Yeah. Well, when you get hit by the Slurkle, you just lose all will to live, so that's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah, when I hear the word Slurkle, for me, I pretty much feel the same way as well.
Makes sense, yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, though. It's a great word. I know how you feel about it, but I'm a big fan.
Arc of Ruin, man. I don't know. Sounds great. It's not really an arc, so it doesn't make sense to me, but, you know, a lot of names don't. KT still maintain a gold lead here, but it's a little bit more fragile than it was moments before. If they had lost the Dragon, it would have felt a lot worse. The issue is Diable, right? Like, Diable's getting big. And yes, he's 800 gold behind, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about him compared to the enemy AD carry. I'm just talking about him on his way to 3 items, where he is going to be a huge threat. If KT spend everything to kill Lulu, and then there's no CC for Diable, that's where you have the problems. Especially if there's a flanking Renekton. Diable also might just die.
Okay, just going to run straight into the Nautilus. He does dash away. So baited, I suppose, but in goes BDD, and eventually he does take him out, but that's a trade of 80 carries, which isn't that bad for Nongsum, especially with this big Renekton. Cuzz has to back away. BDD still cutting it out. Doesn't really have the mana either. That Gnar, kind of pitiful at this point. Doesn't really do a whole lot to save him. And that should be the end of Perfect as well on the backside of this fight. So Nongsum actually trading up.
I think that KT, a lot of the fights, the scrappy fights they've been taking recently, they're playing as if they need to force their way back into the game, but actually they were in a pretty good spot as the Viktor's going to get caught here.
Right. You're going to throw everything in a Scout, but he's just got way too much damage, kind of baiting KT into a wonky fight.
I mean,
yeah.
Like, it's both Scout and now Diable they've thrown everything into, not gotten the kill, and then they're realizing their comp doesn't really do damage outside the initial salvo. Like, so this is that situation in the initial salvo, right? It's like, oh, Diable. Oh, no, I'm caught. I definitely don't have a Lulu with me with Wild Growth. And he just kind of gets over the wall here, and then he's like, I do Giga damage, and I have a Renekton. He does ultimately die because BDD goes in on him. But now you don't have any way to win this fight anymore. And it's so desperate here from Perfect. He's just trying to peel for the rest of his teammates to get away. He's like, get away from my teammates! Ah! And then he just slowly dies because there's nothing he can do here. And so they just gave over a bunch of gold. And then here, it's the same situation. Like, that's a Rocket Belt Viktor. He doesn't even really get that close to dying.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it just feels like, you know, as you've been talking about, like the KT comp is very burst-oriented. They threw all of their burst into one target. It was a good target, but in the extended trade against like a Zhao, a tanky Viktor, a Renekton, like they don't really have that much sustained damage.
That's why, you know, I mentioned before, the problem is if you get to a stable state as Nongsum, it's really easy to win the game, and they earned it back.
Yeah. As we're going back in on an effort this time, the Nautilus with the Aftershock going to help out a little bit in tanking. But eventually, no, they're just going to let him go. Sponge says, I don't quite have the damage to chase.
Still a huge win right before Dragon here for Nongsum, as Perfect is now on the wrong side of this fight and may just have to sacrifice himself. Maybe he can do the long wraparound here and buy some time for his teammates, but there's no Nautilus ult.
All right, well.
It's working. They're chasing him.
Yeah, I feel like they could have kept Perfect at bay and maybe started up, but maybe they didn't want to get flanked by Gnar. So at the end of the day, they're just like, you know what? Never mind. We're just going to run away now. And Diablo's like, no, I'm going in. Guys, we're going to take the objective.
Still no ult for effort, so I think KT just have to give up this Dragon. Maybe Cuzz can look for a funky steal or something like that, but they don't even really have vision here. Flag's going to expire, and he's just going to leave. So I think this is the right call. It's just without the Nautilus ult, that's most of your combo, right? Then you have the Cuzz follow up and BDD and FenRir press their ultimates in the bad guy's direction. But if you don't have the combo, then whoever gets dredge-lined, if they even do get dredge-lined, just kind of walks it off, and the burst can't follow through. Dragon gets taken. And now we are headed to a bit of a mid-control here as BDD is looking for Diable. I don't know about that.
Yeah, just a little bit of Aurora shenanigans. Just saying hello. Lehends has been doing a good job of standing right next to Diable at all times. He's like, I know what this guy is like. I know what my job is. I will stand next to him at all times.
Just empower your main carry. And this composition does have Diable as that main carry. Viktor for Scout here, a secondary one, even though he actually has the gold lead right now. The Yunara is the one with the 3 items. The Yunara is the more consistent damage threat. But there are 2 of them, which is why now, even if you do kill one of these targets instantly with your combos, you have to deal with the other one.
Yeah.
And a Zhao and a level 16 Renekton, which is why at this point I really feel like KT's gold lead is pretty fake. It has shrunk as well, but I think that they are no longer in control of this game at all. And if Mountain Dragons start coming through, they already have 1, but if they get another one and even the Soul later, that burst potential gets even harder to pull off. As maybe a while before FenRir hits level 16, he has IE, and like he can sort of front to back, but he just gets run down if they don't get that initial kill.
Yeah, the beginning of the fight needs to be really decisive for KT. They need to essentially blow up one target without losing too much. As just going to ult the wave here, it looks like. Sponge trying to just get straight under the turret and nearly died to it as that last shot nearly takes him out. And now the death charge in on a Diable who's just left by his lonesome is eventually going to go down. Of course, Perfect does have to flash for it, but very wonky trade. Maybe KT can make something of this, but it's so hard to kill Kingen. Like, they just don't quite have the damage, but I guess when you dive into 4 people, they do. As eventually he does go down.
Weird exchange. I think very fortunately for KT and very unfortunately for Nongshim, the timing at which Nongshim decided to go in was right when FenRir pulled the trigger to clear the wave. So they actually took way more damage, I think, than they otherwise would have when they went in there. And then they were awkwardly stuck, committed to the engage. This turret is so healthy, by the way, that it's a little bit risky to go in like this. Diable isn't layering damage into the backline. Sponge is here alone, and then Diable gets ulted because he's in basically melee range with the Nautilus. It's really easy for Effort to hit the follow-up here. The burst comes through from BDD, and then Kingen is trying to make something of this. Perfect ultimate bait here with the Nautilus so they can eventually take him out. And in live, KT are doing the Baron. FenRir did his job well here. Flash is here as well when he does get a little bit too close. See if Sponge can do something about this. He does not have flash. His ult comes up in 5. TP commitment, and KT say we are not sticking the Baron.
Yeah. Definitely a good idea, especially Sponge is very healthy at the moment. Crescent guard up, could also get over the wall because he's Zhao, but yeah, they just, I think they feel now they're like, okay, we're not in that big of a lead. We can't do crazy things, and our turn isn't really in a good spot, so let's just pull off of this one and maybe go for a bit of reset. Nongshim are like, you know what? We could do the Baron. If they could do the Baron, we can start the Baron. Why not?
Okay, well, Kingen's also on this flank angle. Combo set up for Effort, right? He just needs to pick the right target, and the follow-up needs to be crisp. BD's looking for maybe to go over the wall here.
Yeah.
And they've done so much damage to Kingen.
And Cuzz can go in now as Spun's getting super low, and there's the steal. Cuzz gets in. They take out the Zhao, and the MF ult is very nice as well, but it is going to get interrupted by the Viktor. They take down the Renekton. As Diable basically on 1 health just has to run away. Flashed on by Effort, taken out, and might just be the clean ace for KT as they take them down on the Baron.
My God, that was a decisive fight, Valdes, from KT, and Cuzz and crew are focusing Sponge down. Cuzz gets the secure. They burst down the jungler, and the MF ultimate as well, even though it doesn't kill everyone. It's not one of those ults where you end up getting a triple. It's interrupted. It prevents any sort of follow-up from Nongshim in the interim, as Perfect also does so much work on the left side of the fight at the same time. But look at how decisive they are. By the way, again, with an 80 carry who has not played with this team, they get the kill on the Sponge with Cuzz securing this. And look at this angle here from FenRir when Diable wants to go in. He has to back away. He has to leave the fight. And maybe if he's 1 step closer there, while that Renekton is healing up and trying to hit that Q, maybe Diable can get a kill there, and maybe this fight looks playable. Even almost looks a little playable there for a second until Effort flashes on him and says absolutely not. KT Rolster turn their 1,000 gold lead that we were saying was fake into an 8,000 gold lead. And this game has been anything but standard. It has been anything but clean, but Notion are got to be kicking themselves after that dive in the mid lane attempted by Sponge just gives KT all the momentum, the Baron, and everything that comes with it. Because I think before that moment, Notion kind of had the game in their hands.
Yeah.
Just like that.
I mean, the
few
turn
plays away, and it's AKA.
Yeah, the turn from KT's comp is very good, right? You got a Nautilus, you have an Aurora, Jarvan, Mega Gnar potentially. It's great. I understand them starting the Baron. Notion's turn is abysmal. Like, you throw in a Zhao and like try to engage with the Lulu, I guess? I don't know. You hope they dive into you? Well, they did, and they killed your Zhao immediately. I don't know. It just felt a little bit rushed and unnecessary. The call was not one. Now in hindsight, we know that was a good call, at least, as they're going to go in on an effort as there is the bullet time. Tons of damage in a scout. They take out the Lulu. As Cuzz might be going down here, though, to the Storm, but they get the flank in onto Diable, and it looks like we will be going to a game number 6 here once again, Wolf. I mean, KT have done it.
They have. Back-to-back Sixers. You called it out early on today. Thought maybe it was going to be the case. We didn't even know about the substitution at that point, as the last kill will go to FenRir. 8 to his name, the most on the side of KT Rolster and in the game. As he and effort, they play the simple MF Nautilus, but they made it look super clean. BDD also very decisive on this Aurora. And KT Rolster get it done with a defensive play on the turret and then go straight to a Baron, warp the fight around them.